Hello, YouTube. Damn it, Burley, motherfucker. Yeah. All right, let's get into this. This is going to be the following topics, and first, I just want to give a big shout out or to congratulate Pope Francis. Never thought I'd say that, but for once, he actually did what Jesus would do. He has declared crimes against the environment to be a sin. So I would like to give a light round of applause to this man. You did what was right. You have taken steps to further direct your organization in a correct manner to do good. And I like to give you credit for that. And I approve of what Pope Francis did. And I think it's important to say that it's important to say that the environment is, of course, the most important of things, and that we all live on the earth. And of course, when the planet goes, and we only have one planet, and when it goes, we all go. But with that being said, I would also like to further talk about this later, and I will go into further detail about my belief about this later. But I would like to thank the Pope for taking steps to protect the environment, and I think that's a very good thing that he did, and I approve of that. Here, and I'm just going to talk about this now. What is the guy's name? Nick Volantes, or whatever his name is. I don't know who he is. I heard someone else talk about him once. I think he's Spanish. I don't even know if that's true. Anyways, the point is, he supposedly, and I don't know anything about the man, but I know the neoconservatives. And if you don't know what a neoconservative is, just imagine everything wrong with Alex Jones, but then imagine none of the good stuff. Like, think about any admirable characteristic about Alex Jones, and there are good things about Alex Jones, and I've pointed them out before. But imagine Alex Jones without anything good. Well, that's a neoconservative, pretty much. So anyways, the point of them... Damn. And, of course, the pop-ups. But anyways, they're coming together now and aligning. The Empire Strikes Back, as they have been doing. More recently, they have certainly been striking back against anyone in the revolution on the left or in the right. If there is a revolution in the right, that's up for you to decide. But certainly in the left has been making gains, and I would say the right has too, and not always in a bad way. Many of people, at least. Let me go see what my dog is doing. But anyways, many of the damn people in the right and the left have been making gains in a positive way. Tulsi has been making news. I'm not always an approver of the guy, but I think Tucker Carlson his new show has been doing good, and he does talk some truth. Alex Jones has been getting a little more attention. The current president in the White House, for all the bad things we can say about him, at least some of his rhetoric is good. There has been positive things going on in the country. And the empire, or the evil empire, has been striking back, and they are striking back in a bad way. But Nick Volantes is being teamed up on by neoconservatives. And I just want to say, supposedly, and I'm not saying this is true because I don't know any damn thing about the man, but he said the Holocaust might not have happened. Well, he's a Holocaust denier. And here's my stance on that and what I believe about that, and that's absolute bullshit. The Holocaust did happen. People died in the Holocaust, and it's a horrible thing. So if he ever did say anything like that, and I'm not saying he did, because I have no fucking earthly clue if he did or not. And I probably should have done a little bit more research on this guy before even talking about him, and that's my bad. I'm sorry. But just let me say, it happened, and I know some people will defend claims about the Holocaust that they have made by saying, well, there's a discrepancy in the numbers. Well, let me say, and I know I didn't say that word right, but the point is, let me say, it doesn't matter whether, first of all, I fully believe 6 million people died, but even if it was 6,000, All that matters is people died and it was wrong. So that is the most important thing about that. So I'm not defending the guy, but I do know neoconservatives are usually crooks and they are responsible for the majority of the wars we got in. And I don't like the neoconservative playbook or the neoconservative belief system or neoconservatives. And they have been teaming up on that guy. And there's another statement he made about segregation or the separating of the races back prior to, say, the 1970s and the 50s and early 60s. And I want to make clear something. It mattered. It was a big issue. It was wrong. But I also want to say I think that what is more wrong is that they're dividing up the population. They're playing games. They're playing off one team against the other, and they know very well what they're doing. And I think part of what they're doing is also very simple, and they can be plainly stated or plainly mapped out as this. I think that they're taking away our attention from current events and focusing them on past events. And we have done lots of bad things as America and as Americans. But that does not mean that there isn't much more going on in this country on a much higher level right now and right at this moment. And I think part of what's going on, or whether what should be happening, is we should be paying more attention to not only the collective oppression of all people in the United States or in America or in the United States of America, but also on the current white privilege. And I do believe in some level of white privilege. Again, I've said before, I don't believe necessarily in a gender privilege or a male privilege, but I do believe in a racial privilege or a white privilege. And I think we have some white privilege going on right now in this country, maybe to a lesser extent than what we had in the 50s, but it goes on. And that is really what we should be focusing on right now, and not what happened fucking 70 years ago or some shit. But it's still wrong, and it's still a horrible thing, and it's something that we should all mourn and know was wrong. We should learn from the past and learn from those events and take what we learned and distribute that to our treatment of each other and to everyone as a collective, all people, and to treat all people the same and as we would want to be treated. And that is what we really need to learn from past events. But with that being said, I don't know a damn thing about Nick Fuentes, and I already fucking spent too much damn time talking about the motherfucker, and I don't know anything about it. But I do think whenever the neoconservatives are unmasking against anyone, as they did Alex Jones and as they are against this guy, and as they have against plenty of liberals, I am always suspect, and I hold them as very suspicious. And I don't suspect, or I don't trust rather, I don't trust rather a damn thing they say. So just let me say that. But with that being said, I don't know anything about Nick Fuentes or whatever. I don't know what kind of man he is. I don't know what he believes or how far right he is or anything else. Just let me make that fucking obvious. So I don't want to get some shit about, well, you are saying the Holocaust. I don't think that. I think that's a horrible thing to say, and I don't fucking agree with that. And look, I know circumcision is a Jewish ritual, and I have defended also the Palestinians in the past. And I have made statements that could be misconstrued or misrepresented as anti-Semitic. And I have done that, and I stand by those statements. And if I really, or at least the ones I made recently, maybe not, when I was fucking on dope fucking many years ago, but the point is, if I wanted to goddamn sit here and say something anti-Semitic, I would just fucking say it. I'm not doing that. And I don't think what he said was right. And he's an idiot. But that's no reason to say, well, he can't say that, or to team up on the guy. If he's an idiot, his idiocy will show, and you should let it show. Or if not, then you're just lying about whatever you're lying about. I don't even understand the exact source of issues, but the point is, that's my opinion on that. And I have nothing else to say about that, and I hope they never talk about it again, and I don't really give a shit. So there you go. 1 minute. Need a drink after that one. All right. All right. Let's see. And of course, Alex Jones goes after San Francisco again, talking about the homeless taking a shit. And he had said, I think it was over, I forget the exact number, but I think he said over 10,000 cases in the last few years of the homeless and animals taking a shit in the public. And again, Alex Jones, Mr. Jones, look, man, with all respect to you, all due respect, no one gives a fuck about where the homeless are shitting. We don't care. We don't give a shit. Like, That's almost an ironic statement. But we don't care where the homeless take a shit. No one gives a damn but you. Stop talking about the homeless pooping somewhere. Who gives a fuck? All right, moving on. Obama recently said that the Democratic Party needs to watch moving too far. Damn. Obama recently said that the far left, I suppose, as they would say, needs to watch moving too far left. Well, here's the problem with that. And let me say, first of all, I know you have your misconceived notions of what the left is. Does Hillary Clinton have, and they're trying to capitalize on that and use that to further divide us. But in actuality, the far left in liberalism is not what you think it is. And I've explained this in the past. But I know that is Alex Jones talking about, and as he said, Peter Abdul, a Hillary Clinton senior campaign advisor, Peter Abdul, recently said that the statement by Obama was ridiculous and that they should go down. Anyway, Peter Abdul, a senior campaign advisor for Hillary Clinton, said that is a ridiculous statement. They shouldn't go too far left. And while on one level I would agree and on one level I would disagree, you have to keep in mind you're talking about two different groups and understand what they mean by far left. Because in actuality, leftist policy would mean helping the homeless, helping the sick, the poor, helping the environment, is the Pope talked about, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. But in that sense, yes, we need to go further left. But if you're talking about this further feminist, pseudo-feminist, radical feminist, divide and conquer bullshit, then you're right. We don't need to go further into that. The political... No, we don't need to go further into that, because I do think that we've went too far into that as it is. And I think we need to unite the masses, and they're trying to divide the masses. And that's why they want to further divide up people and turn the left into something that is about as appealing as a fucking leopard and a goddamn blood donor, a blood drive. In other words, it's a fuck job, and they're doing this on purpose. And you almost have to wonder in some cases if Hillary Clinton and that ilk isn't in bed with Trump, as we have seen in the past when they were playing golf together, and how much of this shit really goes together and what are they really up to. But if you're talking about legitimate left-wing activists, or left-wing activism and left-wing activity and activist behavior, as was seen in the 60s with the hippie movement and so forth, then that is all very positive. Fuck me, I get another drink after that one. All right, moving forward. Another issue that we're talking about, or that they're talking about, is the Pope. And I'm sure Jones is against this, and I don't know why, or what his problem is with the environment, or why he feels it's his job to fuck over the planet. But he is right. Environmental destruction should be a sin, and global warming should be the punishment from God that we have all brought upon ourselves. In part because, yes, we need to stop harming the environment, and these are negative things. And it makes a hell of a lot more sense to call that a sin than it does whether or not two gay people love each other and what they do in their privacy of their home, or whether or not they get married, or whether or not a woman makes a choice with her body to have an abortion, or whether or not someone does things that do not directly affect another person in any way, shape, or form at all. Is Christianity has made its job, often against the words of Jesus, by the way, or against the advice of Jesus, in the prophets over the years to advise against and to make rules against things that don't affect other people and don't affect them. But it makes a hell of a lot more sense to care about the environment. So, I don't give the guy a lot of credit, but bravo, Pope Francis, for finally doing something Jesus would have done and being good students of the earth, is it does command you in Genesis of the Judeo-Christian Bible and actually doing what you were told to do and helping the fucking planet. Imagine that. You're being good stewards of the earth and being environmentalists, and that is the Christian thing to do. So bravo. Beyond that, or furthermore, I would like to say, or I want to talk about genital mutilation, and I want to say that between 50 and 100 journey children do die from infant genital mutilation every year, and that it is a very harmful thing. And I just want to say that the entire ideal, even that you don't want your child to be the long person out. Yeah. Me, I'm sick of this. Ideally, you don't want your child to be the long person out because he's not circumcised, or you want circumcision for your children simply because you don't want them to be the long person out, is in fact bullshit, because that's becoming less and less. And it's not 80 to 89% is some fascist supporting this fucking policy supporting this procedure wants, but in fact probably closer to 40 to 50, between 40 to 50%. And that isn't the actuality, the real number, and it might be declining, and I hope for it to climb more, and that's what I want to happen. And less and less people are doing this, and they won't be the long person out. In fact, in fact, if these fucking fascists don't fucking interfere with all this, it probably will get to a point where the activity of circumcision will not be anywhere close to the norm or even a routine by any stretch of the imagination. And in fact, even in America, and in fact, people being generally mutilated will be the large minority, the very teeny tiny minority of the population, and not people being normal the way they're supposed to be and not having their penis mutilated the way I was and the way other people are and should not have been, because that is wrong. But we'll see. But let's see, is there anything else I want to talk about? But the point is, don't do this, because your child can die, as I said, or as I said before, between 50 and 120 children do die. Some have their genitals amputated or are castrated from the procedure, and it's wrong. So don't do that to your kid. Just like you wouldn't do that to your girl or your daughter, don't do that to your boy or your son either. Just like you wouldn't do that to your son. It's like you wouldn't do that to your girl or your daughter. Don't do that to your boy or your son either. Okay, yeah. Moving on. Let's see if I have anything else to talk about. And one other one. The impeachment hearings, as I said, I didn't watch, and neither did a lot of other independents and moderates and people of that nature, or I suppose actual liberals, because we don't care, because we both know, first of all, it doesn't matter if Trump's president or a chimpanzee is president. They're ultimately controlled by whoever the fuck is about the power behind the throne, and that's whoever the fuck has the money. And we're ran by people in some cases is such as the Federal Reserve where we don't even know who they are. And it doesn't make a fuck whether Trump runs the shit or someone else runs the shit, because we don't know who runs things, and it doesn't really matter. But I will say this: if you let them take away from you a democratically elected president this easily in this way, then they're fucking you over, and it's not going to get any better. And that goes for the left and the right, whether you know it or not. So that's what I fucking believe, and that's what I have to say about this. T666.